Nice chilly fall day. So nice to see everybody. All right, all kinds of things going on today. I'm going to read this before I forget that I was going to read this. So, okay. No, this is something else. Yeah, this is the Inner Peace poem. If you can start the day without caffeine, if you can always be cheerful, ignoring aches and pains, if you can resist complaining and boring people with your troubles, if you can eat the same food every day and be grateful for it, if you can understand when loved ones are too busy to give you any time, if you can take criticism and blame without resentment, if you can conquer tension without medical help, and if you can relax without alcohol, if you can sleep without the aid of drugs, then you are probably the family dog. So, I love that. I love that. I just had to start with that one. That one was just great. So anybody coming in here late and didn't hear that one, oops. We're on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. More t-shirts, sweatshirts. Oh, I'm not too bossy. I have leadership skills. America, founded by geniuses to be run by idiots. So, and that's always, nobody's ever happy with everything. So it's kind of the way it should be, right? Honestly, my biggest fear about becoming a zombie is all that walking. Prayer is the best way to meet the Lord, but messing with my daughter is faster. I am so lucky to, thank you, Janice, that I never had a daughter. Because, I mean, I'd have a shotgun and meet them at the door, and, oh, she probably wouldn't even date until she was 23 or so. Stuff going on this week. So, Qigong, of course, every Sunday morning at 9:15. The Emotion Code on Monday. Essential Oils on Tuesday. And Wednesday is Introduction to Qigong with Mary Ann. It's also National Pickle Day. That's an important one. ARE meets on Thursday. And that's it for the week. Slow week. But that's okay. We do have Thanksgiving coming up. And we're going to do Thanksgiving at the church again, of course. So about 1 o'clock-ish, something like that. Sign-up sheet here? Yeah. Oh, okay. You want me to just pass it around? Sure. Okay. Sign-up sheet for what you want to bring for Thanksgiving, just so we can kind of figure out what the heck we're doing. And we're going to be doing the turkey and all of that stuff. The other one is to sign up for communion. So I will just, I guess I'll just do that. And we'll do them all around and kind of go from there. But also, today is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. Wow. Imagine that, 100 years. Look what's happened in 100 years, for crying out loud. So, we do have a couple patron saints by the name of George Carlin and John Lennon, though. Yeah. And John said, "A dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is reality." So, absolutely true. And George, most people with low self-esteem have earned it. Wow, it's George. It's George. He doesn't have to make any sense or agree with him or anything. So, and with the introduction of the Happy Meal, McDonald's became the largest toy distributor in the world. McDonald's, yeah. So, and I think I had one last week that, some amazing percentage of people have worked at McDonald's at one point in their life or not. But when you figure, I mean, good grief, they've been around, what, at least 50 years? I don't know the dates, but it's got to be 50 years. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I think there's a new store being built every 30-some seconds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was nuts for a while. Mm-hmm. Fear kills more people than death. George Patton. Probably true. Who knows? He who fears being conquered is sure of defeat. Napoleon. Mm-hmm. So,
They're pretty smart.
they're real smart back then. Smart people. Hi, Toby. Hey, Toby. Okay. All glory comes from daring to begin. The deed is everything, the glory nothing. Those that have done nothing in life or are not qualified to judge of those that have done little. Yeah. And fortune brings in some boats that are not steered. William Shakespeare. Not sure what he means. All right, anything else going on? Hey, Thanksgiving, we're going to be, I think I already mentioned a little bit about that, but Thanksgiving, we've been doing it, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years. This is probably it's been a few years. So it just gets more wonderful every single year. It's just a great time. For anybody that has no place to go for Thanksgiving, be here or be square. For those that you have some place that you are supposed to be and you really don't want to go there, it's a great excuse. No, I'm sorry, I'm having Thanksgiving at church. Thank you very much. So, or both. Yeah, or both. You betcha. Do them both. Just don't eat too much at either one. Okay, spread the stupidity. Only in America do people order double cheeseburger, large fries, and a Diet Coke. Only in America do banks have both doors open and then chain the pens to the counter. Only in America do we have cars worth thousands of dollars in the driveway and put our useless junk in the garage. Only in America do we buy hot dogs in packages of 10s and buns in packages of 8. And they're still doing that. Everybody knows the absurdity of that, and yet they still do it. What is that? Only in America do we have drive-through ATM machines with Braille lettering. I don't get it. I do not get it. All right. You know, I am going to stop for just a second because Monday is Veterans Day. And guess what? That's why the hat and everything. So,
Today's Veterans Day.
Is it actually today?
Yes.
Oh. Well, never mind. Today's Veterans Day. So, I'm going to pass the microphone to all the vets, and because we want to know what branch you were in, whatever, anything. If there's anything else you want to say, you know, maybe your rank, how many years you were in, or whatever you want to say. But I'm always more curious on what branch of service, because usually Air Force is always just a really small number around here. So, and then after that, we're going to think about it for a second. Actually, you know what? We're going to do this first. 100 years, World War I ended. And, you know, a lot of people have lost their lives in war. Tough but true. And we wouldn't be here without those people. I mean, things would be different. Things would be very different. So actually, if we could just have maybe a few seconds just to thank those people that lost their lives and maybe give them a blessing. Thank you. I've never heard the Divine Fellowship be so quiet. All right, vets, please stand.
My name is Richard. I went into the military in 77. I was in the Navy on the Eisenhower aircraft carrier for 4 years. And then I got out and then decided to go back in and went into the Army and spent 18 years in field artillery, shooting cannons. And I loved it. Sorry, but I did. It's a big boom.
Navy, and I was on the USS Seattle.
Navy, USS John F. Kennedy, CV-67. My rank was Aviation Power Control Technician, Petty Officer, second class.
Navy, I was second class corpsman. I helped fix those people who really liked the big boom. And my son, 6 years in the Army, 82nd Airborne. He's currently in France right now at the celebrations for Armistice Day.
My name is Kelly. I was in the Army. I was one of the people who provided communication for people who like to go boom. Signal Corps.
Joe Schmidt. I was a boiler technician, petty officer, third class, and I was on the USS Sellers, which is sold to France for scrap for 2 cents a pound.
Okay, Darrell Morrison. I was aviation machinist mate, second class, VAQ 136 off the USS Kitty Hawk. They sold for razor blades, so 71 and 75.
I'm Dan. First time I was in the Air Force as an aircraft mechanic. Went back into Army Reserves. I was a captain in a military police battalion.
Anybody else? What about you? Yeah.
Phil, U.S. Air Force, 71, 78. I just had a good time in communications. It was a ball. But I was glad to get out. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to rush through this one because this is a little bit long. Okay. A preacher concluded that his church was getting into very serious financial trouble. While checking the church storeroom, he discovered several cartons of new Bibles that had never been opened to distributors. So, at a Sunday sermon, he asked for 3 volunteers from the congregation who would be willing to go door to door to sell the Bibles for $10 apiece to raise desperately needed money for the church. Jack, Paul, and Louie all raised their hands to volunteer for the task. The minister knew that Jack and Paul earned their living as salesmen and were likely to be selling some Bibles. But he had serious doubts about Louie, who was a local farmer who had always kept to himself because he was embarrassed by a speech impediment. Poor Louie stuttered badly, but not wanting to discourage Louie, the minister decided to let him try anyway. He sent the 3 out with the back seat of their car stacked with Bibles. He asked them to meet with them and report the results of their door-to-door selling efforts the following Sunday. Anxious to find out how successful they were, the minister immediately asked Jack, "Well, how did you do selling Bibles last week?" Proudly handing the minister an envelope, Jack replied, "Using my sales prowess, I was able to sell 20 Bibles, so here's $200 I collected on behalf of the church." "Fine job, Jack," the minister said, vigorously shaking his hand. "You are indeed a fine salesman, and the church is indebted to you." Turning to Paul, "How many Bibles did you sell last week?" Well, Paul, smiling, sticking out his chest confidently, replied, "I'm a professional salesman, and I sold 28 Bibles on behalf of the church, and here's $280 that I collected." The minister responded that was absolutely splendid, Paul. You're truly a professional salesman, and the church is indeed indebted to you. Indeed, indebted to you. Hard to say. Wasn't in here like that either. But apprehensively, the minister turned to Louie and said, "Well, Louie, how did you manage to sell Bibles last week?" And Louie silently offered the minister a large envelope. The minister opened it and counted the contents. "What is this?" the minister explained. "Louie, there's $3,200 in here. Are you suggesting that you sold 320 Bibles for the church door to door in just 1 week?" Louie just nodded. "That's impossible," said both Jack and Paul, said in unison, actually. "We are professional salesmen, yet you claim to have sold 10 times as many Bibles as we could?" "Yes, this does seem unlikely," the minister agreed. "I think you'd better explain how you managed to accomplish this great feat." Louie shrugged. I really don't know. For sure, he stammered. Impatiently, Peter interrupted, "For crying out loud, Louis, just tell us what you said to them when they answered the door." Was Louis. And it went on. It was rather involved. And I'd just like to stand here with you. And if you would buy the Bible, I would read it to you. Yeah, that worked. So, all right. Oh, by the way, potatoes in the back. There's potatoes in the back, so just grab a bag. And by the way, Jan and I, of course, call them taters. What a perfect name for a dog. Tater. Tater. That's a wonderful name. Wonderful name.
They're also Spuds.
Huh? They're Spuds. Yes, they are. Yeah. Spuds would be a good name for a dog, too. Yeah.
So Phil, the microphones were not on, and we still had that buzzing.
Yes.
So I have no idea what that means. Valerie's going to read us a prayer. This one was written by one of my friends on Facebook. So it's lengthy, and I like it.
But it's perfect. Prayers for family and friends. A prayer for my family, a prayer for my friends. I ask God, remember, not forget us instead. We all need the giving, we all need the love. A prayer sent to heaven to bless us from above. In need of some comfort, of love and some grace, I ask God's forgiveness, our doubts to replace. I see those around me who need more than I do. I ask they be given all their worries are due. We're all there in suffering, all children of God. We all need supporting when we feel without love. The words mean no difference when we ask God for help. All loving and suffering, all going through hell. We all need the same thing, growing older and bold. We all walk together, need a hand we can hold. Get rid of it. Just give us compassion. One refuses to ask. We all need the same thing. We need to give back.
A prayer for my family, a prayer for my friends. I ask God remember, not forget us instead.
And that was for my nephew.
Thank you. Very sweet. Okay, thank you. Now we're all teared up. It's way okay. Mr. Phil, did you know you left your phone up here? My beloved? We'll get this wired mic stuff going. So, because it's our anniversary, a couple of fun things to do. That's for Phil for later. We have to say hi to Norma in England. Hi, Norma. Hi, Norma. She started watching us from England. I have a quiz for you. Music quiz. Some of the songs that we play have some amazing little lines in there that are really, really powerful. And anyway, want to give you a little quiz, challenge your little noodle here. Okay, so which song that we play says, "I'm not the mistakes that I have made"? I am like. Good job. If you feel that happiness is the truth. Happy. Good job. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. Stronger. Huh? Kelly Clarkson, absolutely. You don't have to feel like a wasted space. You're an original, cannot be replaced. Huh? Fireworks. Fireworks, yes ma'am. No one else can feel it for you. What did he say? My grandmother. My grandmother. Unwritten, yes, yes. Don't pay no mind to those demons, they'll fill you with fear. What I thought I heard it. Huh? Philip Phillips. Home. Yeah. Is this one on too, Phil? No. That's off. Oh, it's not even plugged in, Phil. Why am I making... Oh, well, whatever. I'll let Phil worry on that. Never gonna look back. Whoa. Never gonna look back. Whoa. Yeah, I know you gotta sing it first. Best day of my life. I'm asking him to change his ways. Man in the mirror, yeah. I'm still breathing. Alive, yes, got it. I need a sign to let me know you're here. Calling all angels, yes. Say what you want to say, let the words fall out. Break, yes. I don't care what they may say, I don't care what they may do. Jesus is just all right with me. We played that this morning. Don't you love that one? Fun stuff. You would think my love was really something good. Change the world. Good job. Being the way you are is enough. Because you're beautiful. What makes you beautiful? I just might have a problem you'd understand. Lean on me. Good job. May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. Have it all. Have it all, yes. It was really funny because Lori Miller, are you here? Lori Miller, there you are. So Phil didn't know what a slap bracelet was. So Lori went and got him one, and he did the thing, and he was like, oh, cool. He was fascinated for quite some time about that. Squirrel, yes. Be a witness in the silences when words are not enough. Testify, yes. Stand straight, walk proud.
Oh. Garth Brooks, yeah. Come on, Daryl.
Come on, Daryl, you know that one.
Walk proud. I mean, we shall be free. We shall be free. So we'll do more of that. Maybe when I get through some other. Don't you love that one? That fun? But some of those phrases are really important, and I'm echoing again. Hello. This is the God voice. Hello. So it's our anniversary, 21 years. Can you imagine? Wow, so strong. Who knew?
With the audio.
Huh? Something went on with the audio. Am I gone now? Am I back?
I'm not doing it.
You're freaking me out, though.
And I'm getting feedback.
You're getting feedback?
That's because it's like that one.
Shouldn't be.
No. I'm going to unplug it just for right now so we get rid of the...
Well, let me try it this way. How's that? Is that better?
No, we're still getting it.
Okay.
Ta-da, it's gone.
I'll just yell. Can you hear me now? So, 21 years. A lot has happened in 21 years. You know, people ask Phil and I, why? Why did we start the Divine Fellowship? We don't know. We were kind of disgruntled about where we were and where we wanted to be, and we had been attending a church for a while and loved it, just loved it. And then we went to a lay pastor's meeting, and then everything became a duty. Okay, you have to attend. Well, we've been attending. Now you have to attend. Well, we've been tithing. Now you have to tithe. And now you have to attend these little mini meetings weekly. We've been attending them without any problem. Took all the joy out of it. And so we just like didn't get up and go to church the next Sunday. Neither one of us said anything. We're reading the paper. Then the next Sunday rolled around. We just couldn't make ourselves get up and go. Didn't tell each other. Just if he says something, I'll say something. But if he doesn't say anything, I'm not saying anything. So we just were quiet in the morning, just kind of evaporated. So about a month later, we said, we haven't been to church in a month, and we had been consistently going for several years. And it was just, there was no fun in it for us. So, well, there's got to be something else out there. So, my friend Deb, can you take the story from here, Deb? You want to come up and share the rest of the story? Oh my God. Well, not the rest of the whole story. Lead us on through the next little bit.
Well, I'm going to start where I started, which was at a tarot reading for my son at the Ren Fair from Janice. And it just clicked for me that that was a way I could have a spiritual journey without going through the have-tos, you-shoulds, and guilt trips of regular church. So I was looking, she was looking, we went to the Unitarian Church, looked at each other and said, no way. And at some point I said, you know, Janice, you should really start a church. You have the faith, you have the knowledge, you have the spirit. You'd be fantastic. And she says she doesn't know, but she said she'd been pondering doing that for a while.
But that would be a sin if we did that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get rid of. I hate that whole you're a sinner thing. So anyway, that was the start. Our first meeting was in Check and Connect's conference room.
Choices and Changes.
Oh, Choices and Changes. I'm back at school. Choices and Changes, their meeting room, and it was like, I think, 13 or 16. 18. Morrison's back there, we're a part of it. I don't know. Anyway, there was a cat there, and we noticed that the cat, he was the office cat, would come and sit on people's lap when they needed it. So when we decided to move to a little storefront, I mean, the whole thing was possibly as big as this one room, we decided we needed a cat. And since then, we've always had a cat, and it just kept growing, and people come, and sometimes in their life they have to leave, and they come back, and it's been a real blessing in my life.
Thanks, Deb. So after
and Daryl and Larry did the build out for that building
yes,
too.
they did. Mostly Daryl. Mostly Daryl did the build up. Somewhere we have pictures. I don't remember there. I don't know there. So yeah, after Deb said, "Well, you should start your own church," and I was like, "No, we can't do that." So Phil and I were we go for a walk several times a week, and we were out at Two Rivers Park, and we're walking along, and we were talking about this. Well, you know, what if we could? Well, I don't know. What would that look like? I don't know. It wouldn't be like that. It might be something more uplifting and encouraging. And as we were talking about all that, this feather spiraled out of the sky. You want to bring my staff in, Phil? It has the feather on it. This feather spiraled out of the sky and landed with the tip down in the feather part straight up right in my wall. And it was an owl feather. Wow. And so Phil picked it up and handed it to me, and he said, "Here's your sign." So, had the blessing of somebody making the staff for me, and so they created a way to attach this feather on that. So this feather was the one that said, "I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. Go for it." So it's hard to be afraid when you have that kind of spiritual confirmation. So fear wasn't an option. So it was like, okay, how do we make that happen? So Phil went to several attorneys, and they went, I don't know what to do. Probably have to get a 501c3. Okay, whatever that is. Went to the bank and said, well, what do we need to do for that? And so got that figured out. But we just kind of had to wing it, literally wing it. We just really didn't know what was going on. Well, and to precede that, before this all happened, Phil and I were both ordained in 1995, in May. And I was doing that for my business, my psychic business, because when you have that ordination, that's kind of a legal protection for that sort of thing. And when I went through that process, Phil had tears in his eyes, and he said, I have to do this too. I don't know why, but I have to do this too. So we were both ordained at the same time, so that was very cool. And then it took 2 years later, 1997, first Sunday in April, first Sunday in November, we had our first service at Choices and Changes. Our cross back here was built in 1998 for our Easter service. Phil built that for us. Then we had our first outside service. We had this really cool outside service. You probably remember this one. We were still at the Choices and Changes, and it was a beautiful spring day. Actually, it was June, and Phil said it was a solstice, June 21. That's solstice, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Anyway, Phil says, I have half a mind to just take our chairs and go outside. Everybody did it. It was like, okay. So he took himself outside, and we took ourselves outside, and sat in the courtyard. And the birds just chirped up a storm, and it was wonderful. And so I used them in the guided meditation, saying, speak your truth to the birds, and they'll carry your prayers to heaven. And the birds got silent. Do you remember that? And then I said, I don't know about you, but I was chilled then, I'm chilled now. And so then I said, okay, and now the birds will bring you back a message from heaven. And the birds just chirped up a storm. And about that time, this white dove flew in and landed on the fence behind me and sat there through the whole service, the entire service. It was beautiful. He stayed there until the services were over. Then in July of '98, we moved from Choices and Changes to this location. And so Chris Richards, who doesn't attend anymore, she made the dream catcher for us, and it was hanging on a wall, or we would bring it in, hanging on whatever, during services, and we had the cross. And so she was going to take those. Somebody was going to take this, somebody was going to take that. So she just threw the dream catcher over the cross. I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's it. That's what we want, because it's about faith, but it's also about the dream catcher, which is meant to catch the bad dreams so that you don't catch any bad dreams. So the dream catcher could catch all that bad stuff that you get from religion. So it was a perfect match. So that's why we have used that as our logo. We had our first expo in '99. We've only missed one when my dad passed away. We've had one every year since then. We're incorporated in '01. I'm trying to find when we did, oh, here we go. Toby arrived in June 5th of 2004. We had a yard sale here. It was the cutest thing. Had a yard sale here. And so we hadn't really had a service here yet. So everybody brought their stuff, and a great fundraiser and all that stuff. Well, it started raining as we were packing up on, I think it was Saturday night or something. So we put tarps over everything. Come back Sunday morning, and Phil pulls a tarp off, and there's this Toby cat. Yeah. It's like, oh, look, kitty. So we gave her some cat food and cat box away to one of the neighbors. She was back the next day. We gave her away to a different neighbor, food, cat box, everything. And she was back the next day after that. So we decided that she's decided to keep us, and we would return the favor, so she stayed with us since then. She is our little warrior for compassion, for survival. because she had a string around her neck that was so tight she could hardly swallow when we took her to the vet. And she had BBs in her hip. And her little claws were her nails were, she'd either clawed her way out of something or were dragged or whatever, but she had no nails. But other than that, she was pregnant. So she was kind of this poor little thing, but she is the lovingest, sweetest cat ever. And if you need healing energy, she'll find your way to your lap. I don't care if you don't like cats, sorry. She's going to find her way to you. Anyway, that's what she does. That's her ministry.
If you forgot your allergy pills, I guarantee
Yeah,
you.
take your allergy pills. Just get them but you pick her up and she might turn and look at you to see if she's safe, and then she'll settle in her fur. But she's just this example of love, what love can do, and love changes everything. Oh, I should tell you about Alexis. When she was first born, she was like tiny. Daryl and Lori would bring her to church, and she'd have this little carrier. And they'd take her out of the carrier, and the cat we had at that time was Merlin. And Merlin would get in and sleep in her cat carrier. So we thought, well, we'll just get Merlin a cat carrier. So we got Merlin a cat carrier, and Alexis crawled into his cat carrier. So they shared that. It's pretty funny. We did the Labyrinth in October of '04. How many people have walked the Labyrinth? If you haven't, it's amazing. Roy has done an amazing job of maintenance and cleaning it up and putting a nice border around it. It's really powerful, and it's created for healing. So whatever issue you have or worry, as you're starting the Labyrinth, there's only one way in and one way out, so let it go. Start letting it go. Look at the rocks along the way. Say your prayers along the way, whatever you need to do. When you get in the center, just be still, and you'll often receive the message. And then as you're walking out, then you can reintegrate what you've received from that. You can reintegrate that in your life, and then move on in your life from there. Christopher Turner. He had his first message in '05. And then Grandfather Drum was created in 2010. You want to tell us about Grandfather Drum, Daryl? You know, Native American, she asked, when did the Native American part start in the church? And it was from the very beginning. Because we felt that the Native American people had the right idea of respect. Everything is about respect, honor. And so we appreciated that and acknowledged that as a way of being, to respect and honor all it is. Do I need to say anything more about that? I think that it's just always been there. I think it was just
always has been.
Yeah. So go ahead and share the story about Grandfather.
Okay, as you most know, I've been teaching drum making classes for a long time, and I always dreamed of having a ceremonial drum, but time wasn't right, and the money wasn't right. It's pretty expensive to build one. So I approached the church, and I said, hey, this is a dream of mine. I'd really love, to do this. So, it was like 2 weeks. I had enough money that we could, I bought the material, everything, and so we took the hoop, and we set the hoop up here, and set, I think about a month, and had people put prayers on the inside of that hoop. So the inside of the hoop, all on the inside has everybody's prayers that was here during that time frame. What was strange about it, I've never made a big drum like this. So I'm asking people, everybody I know, on how to do it. And somebody gave me a name of a guy over in Montana. And we emailed back and forth, but he forgot to tell me one crucial thing. That air on the inside of it has to go somewhere. So when we made it, I didn't have any air holes in it. Well, I'll get back to the making part in a minute. So I came back about a month later, and one of the straps had busted. And I was just heartbroken. I'm going, what's wrong? So I emailed him. He says, did you put a hole in it, dummy? I said, no, I didn't. So I drilled some new holes in it. So anyway, the day we made it, it was like a group project. I don't know how many people, it must have been 15, 20 people there, at least. And some of the people were making the drumsticks and
Prayer sticks too.
prayer sticks and that kind of thing. And then William, I don't think William and Sandra have been here maybe second service or something? It was really early. And
We had gotten here in time to put our intentions in the inside, in the hoop. So that's,
it was just a short
yeah,
amount of
one
time.
of the first Sundays we came was we said, oh, okay, you write your intentions inside. Cool.
And then we put it together. Well, and who else helped? I think it was Hans. Was it Hans?
Hans was there, yeah.
It was Hans, and I don't know how many times we went around stretching that thing, but we had at least 20 times we went around, stretched it and stretched it, and tightened it and tightened it.
Which animal skins were?
Okay, we got one side's buffalo and the other side's elk. So, you know, and then the hoop is made out of maple. So, you know, I don't know anything about drums. They take on that energy, the energy of whatever they're made out of. So, and the lacing is also bison. So, but anyway, we went round and round. I didn't think we were ever going to tighten that drum up. And
Oh, there was a lot of sweating and
we were
breathing
round-
hard and
we were-
pulling and
and pulling and
anguishing.
it seemed like we got it tight and then it would loosen up again and we'd go through and we'd tighten it again. Like I said, I don't know how, it was at least a dozen or two times that we went around. And every time we tightened it, finally it got tight. And so then we cinched her up and let it go. And, you know, it's been such a blessing since then.
Amen to that. Lori made the cover for us. It's got the Divine Fellowship Cross and Dreamcatcher logo on it.
Yeah, and Larry built the stand.
And then Callie painted on it. So we'll
Yeah.
take the cover off if you want to, after services, want to come look and see the painting. I think the painting side is up.
Yeah.
Of course, Callie also did the outside wall here.
She did the
Yeah.
wall.
But she did an excellent job. She put, and I didn't tell her anything. She just kind of took it and went with it. And she put, no accidents. But when she put the animals in the thing, they are the animals. At least where William and I go to sweat lodges, that's the animals that protect those particular directions. So, and the eagle was always in the north, which is where all the winged one was. And so anyway.
I'm sure that was just an accident.
Totally not. So anyway, I don't know. I think that's about it.
Anybody have any questions about Grandfather John?
It's awesome to play.
It's a beautiful thing. And every once in a while, thank you, Daryl, much appreciated. Every once in a while, Grandfather Drum will thump when we talk about something. Boom. Boom, that's an important thing. We've had several build-outs over the last few years. The fellowship hall used to be 2 classrooms, so we removed the division from that, and so just opened that whole thing up. The kitchen. Bill, do you want to show some of those pictures? I'll show you what the kitchen used to look like in here. Please. Thank you. There we go. Should be working. It is working. He just has to click a button.
I don't remember which way to do this. I don't remember how to do it now.
Can you double click?
Triple click.
If you can't, you can't. Sorry. Do you want me to come help? I'll be back. Hold that thought. Anybody ever come? This wall was off the foundation about this far. Weeds were growing, well, this far? Yeah. Weeds were growing up in it. Gusts of cold air would come up. So, there am I back. So at the time we had Bob and Dottie Carroll, And Bob says, I think I can fix that. And so he came out and put these beams on the outside of the building and a track on the bottom, all along this wall. I don't remember how many there was, probably 10 or 12. And then they would bang on that and move it up a little bit, bang on it, move it, till the wall was suspended, hanging in the air. And then they built the foundation up and poured the foundation underneath that, and let it sit, and then pulled all that stuff off. So that was huge because the whole building was starting to go. So yeah, this poor little building was in much need of attention and care. So can you see that at all? Let me turn this lights off. Can you see that? That's what the kitchen used to look like. And we were grateful for these cabinets. Oh my gosh, it was really wonderful. The refrigerator was on the other side, and that.
And one picture with the cabinets in a cubby hole, we made that cubby hole, we put those cabinets up originally too. The ones on the top picture.
This one?
That wasn't there originally either.
Yeah, no, we added that. All of those were, what we had done, and we were very happy with that. Huh?
Tony and Larry donated those
Oh,
cabinets
yes,
from
they
their old
did.
kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, we were just thrilled to have them. So then when we did the rebuild out, then we got new cabinets and stuff. So scroll to the, show us some more. That's the cross that's up on the roof. Was it you that found the guy that did this, Daryl? Yes. He worked it with metal. I wish I'd gotten a better picture. Maybe somebody else can do that. But it's fabulous. So all of that is worked in metal. It's very cool. These are Expo logos that we've had through the years. There's Christopher. He is Sunday. Municipal God. That's the kids' room. Remember the kids' room, Alexis? Alexis, I have to tell another good story about Alexis. How old were you when you started teaching the little kids? Probably 8. And so we had other kids that were younger than her. And she would prepare a message, a lesson. At first, I would have the same thing that we were learning out here. She would do in the back room. We'd share little cards, and so it was very cool. She had the kids put their handprints on the walls. It was really fun. How long did you must have taught that at least, what?
I think till I was like 14 or 15.
Yeah, quite a while. And then your little sister took over for a little while. And then we're just kind of play by ear since then. So what else have you got in there, Phil? Is that it? Kitchen again.
What prompted the expo?
What prompted the expo? That's a really good question. What happened was, do you remember who it was? I can't remember who it was. Said, we should have a little expo. So we did. We had one at the first church that we were at, downtown Kennewick. Oh, it was pitiful. It was. I think we had like 8 vendors. It was just pitiful. People loved it. So then the next year, I think that was when my dad passed away. I don't think we had one. And then the year after that, then we just said, well, let's just do it again. And then we did it again. And then,
put somebody else in charge.
yeah. Whatever. I don't even remember that much. So this is our upcoming one will be our 19th. And it's a huge endeavor, is it not, Valerie? Valerie's our chairperson. She gets all of our vendors. We have 2 vendors that are not well right now. They have Charles Lightwalker had a stroke. So I don't know if he'll be back or not. He's in rehab, so I don't know. And then Greg Ashby had an amputation. He'll have an additional surgery to remove more of the leg on Monday. So if you could remember them in your prayers, that'd be great. So I know I've blah, 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 on and on about the church. I wanted to share with you the biblical reason for church, but I don't really want to take the time for that. So, I can see. But I do want to share with you one thing, and maybe I'll touch base with you later on the same thing again as we go on. This is the foundation of the Divine Fellowship. God is love. And there's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. And that's the basis of it. When many years ago, I had this crisis of faith kind of thing. Because the God that I knew was someone I was terrified of. I had this fear. It was horrible. God's vengeance. And when I read this, it didn't fit with the God I wanted to know and the God that I'd been raised with. Even my parents, my dad would, if somebody did my dad wrong, he'd think, well, God will get him for that. So, God wasn't really a nice guy in my upbringing. But God is love, and perfect love casts out fear. So if I'm fearful, I'm not in love. I'm not in that state of perfect love. So I prayed about that, thought about that, and that's the basis of the Divine Fellowship. It's about love. Love has boundaries. Love is clear. Love is honorable. Love is respectful. And that's what we're about. There's probably not a single person in this room that believes the same thing as the next guy sitting next to him. But we're okay with that. Because you don't have to believe what I believe. This is between you and Source. And it's all about love. And if you're all about love, then we're fine. We're good. So I'd like to walk us through a guided meditation, if you're willing.